Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
To start, I am a proud Reformed Jew. My father, of blessed memory, was a Reformed rabbi. He served only Reformed congregations. I went to the UHC's, later Union for Reformed Judaism's, Green Family Camp in scenic Bruceville, Texas. I led or co-led the Reformed Minyan at the University of Texas's at Austin Hillel. Like my father before me, I went to the Reform Movement's flagship seminary, the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion in Jerusalem and later in Cincinnati. And I've only served Reformed congregations in Arizona, Maryland, New York, and now here in Nebraska. Or to put it more simply, I like to believe I am about as Reform as they come. And yet, I have found myself sometimes struggling with some of the ascribed beliefs of Reformed Judaism. That being said, I fully embrace one of our core tenets of choice through knowledge. As I have often counseled many of you, don't tell me what you don't do. Jewishly speaking, instead tell me what you do. Don't tell me how you think you're not authentic because you don't keep a version of halachic Shabbat. Instead, tell me more about what your practice is. Tell me about how you make Shabbat special and different. And please, please do not say you are not religious. You are. You are religious. You just may have a different form of observance from others. That is all. But that is not what I've been struggling with. Instead, what I'm having difficulty with is how lately we have been defining Reformed Judaism. This week we'll be reading from Parashat Shoftim. It begins Shoftim v'Shotrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha. You shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes in all the settlements that the Eternal your God is giving to you. And they shall govern the people with due justice. You shall not judge unfairly. You shall show no partiality. You shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. You may thrive and occupy the land that the Eternal your God is giving you. Here Moses is instructing the Israelites in the ethical and administrative expectations for the new community that they are about to establish for themselves. At the heart of it is a seminal phrase, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, a passionate pursuit of justice. As a Reformed Jew, I have heard this phrase over and over again. This one phrase embodies and is stated whenever the topic of social justice comes up, or to put it another way, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof is at the heart of our understanding of tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is a phrase we both hear often and use often, but it may actually have a slightly different meaning than we have grown to understand or identify with. For example, as Zvi Freeman teaches, tikkun is often translated as repair, but in the Hebrew Bible and in the early code of Jewish law, called the Mishnah, it has a range of meanings: improve, fix, prepare, set up, or just do something with. Tikkun could be used to describe straightening out a crooked rod, maintaining a roadway, cutting fingernails, setting a table, or devising a parable to explain a difficult idea. Olam in biblical Hebrew connotes all of time. In later Hebrew, it came to mean the world. So tikkun olam literally means to do something with the world that will not only fix any damage, but also improve upon it, preparing it to enter the ultimate state for which it was created. This means that tikkun olam is less an identity and more an action, or a mitzvah. And this is where I struggle, not with acts of tikkun olam, but with defining ourselves, our beloved Reform movement, with tikkun olam as the central principle of what it means to be a Reformed Jew. As it says on the URJ website, with regards to tikkun olam, repair of the world, a Jewish concept that is our responsibility to partner with God to improve the world, a mystical concept of restoration of God's holiest name to itself and the repair of a shattered world, often refers to social action and social justice. Now, please bear with me. I am not saying there's anything wrong with tikkun olam or with acts of repair. Instead, I think it is incumbent upon us to return to understanding how it is an expression of Jewish values and not a core value in and of itself, separate and unique from Jewish tradition. As Ari Berman wrote for the Jewish Standard, in the Middle Ages, Rabbi Isaac Luria, a.k.a. the Ari, a leading Kabbalistic thinker, addressed the problem of evil's presence in Hashem's world. Rabbi Luria shared a story of the broken vessels, essentially positing that evil enters our world because divine sparks that were part of Hashem's creative light became trapped in shards of broken vessels. According to Rabbi Luria, humanity can restore the divine sparks through prayer, meditation, and mitzvot. He explained that the sparks are elevated whenever Torah is studied or commandments fulfilled, that there is a spiritual benefit to pursuing tikkun olam by studying Torah, engaging in ritual, observance, and prayers. Therefore, acts of tikkun should be based on our understanding and learning of tradition, and not simply done for the sake of doing something that we ascribe to being just and righteous. Social justice, simply for the sake of tzedek tirdof, is not enough. In a time where so many people out there, especially on social media, are telling us what a Jew is or what a Jew believes, it is incumbent upon ourselves to learn more about what our tradition has to say, what our tradition teaches and beseeches of us. Yes, helping clothe the naked or providing shelter to the unhoused is an endeavor of great worth. But it is only Jewish if we ground it in the values espoused by Moses to take care of the poor, the widow, the stranger, and the orphan in our midst. Yes, we should be fighting for immigration justice. Why? Because we were strangers in the land of Egypt. A mitzvah that is repeated no less than 36 times in the Torah. It is not necessarily the act that is Jewish without the grounding in what makes it Jewish. I mention all of this because sadly it is becoming more and more common for Jews to be excluded from social justice spaces unless we denounce the Jewish elements of why we are there. One could argue this hatred, this exclusion is centered around Israel, but the truth is, these acts of exclusion have moved well beyond that, if it was ever about that. For example, according to the Focus Project, delegates of the largest U.S. teachers union recently voted to ban the use of educational materials offered by the Anti-Defamation League. The ADL is the leading national Jewish civil rights organization working for more than a century to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment to all. The group works in Holocaust education and in anti-bias training. What would be unthinkable for any other community, banning Holocaust education resources and dismissing Jewish definitions of bigotry, is being normalized. This is not about politics. It is a campaign to erase the presence, identity, and contribution of Jews from public life. As the article goes on to state, Jews are increasingly being treated as pariahs, pushed out of schools, workplaces, and cultural spaces. This is not about politics. A growing movement is exiling Jewish voices from civic life. When professionals and students are silenced and Jewish identity is erased, the whole fabric of a democratic society begins to unravel. The Jews are the canary in the coal mine. If exclusion is normalized for one group, it can happen to any group. The growing acceptance of anti-Jewish rhetoric in civic and educational organizations is not happening in a vacuum. History shows that when societies tolerate exclusion, scapegoating, and vilification, it opens the door to violence. When educators, community leaders, and public voices normalize hatred against Jews, it reflects a deeper erosion of the moral boundaries that protect all communities. This is not just about Jewish safety. It is a warning to everyone about what happens when people look away in the face of hatred. As a reminder, as Jews, Tikkun Olam is not who we are, though it can most certainly be a part of what we do. But what we cannot do is give up the Jewish part of ourselves for the sake of Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam is an expression of Jewish identity, but not the core of our identity. We have every right to be in those places, fighting for those causes we care so deeply about. But we should be able to do so as proud Jews grounded in our beautiful and expansive heritage and tradition. As I started with, I am a proud Reformed Jew. To me, that means I make Jewish choices every day, rooted in tradition and also rooted in disagreement or deeper understandings of tradition. My values tend to be based on Jewish traditions as I grew up with, as I learned in synagogue, as I explored in youth group and college, and as I discovered in my years of study at seminary. What I will not do is metaphorically take off my kippah to make anyone else comfortable, or so I can be allowed to access a particular space. Nor will I accept that others want to diminish me to elevate themselves, especially in the spaces we have fought so hard for and fought so hard to be a part of. We strive to do what is just and right, not just because it is the right thing to do, but because it is also the Jewish thing to do. This pursuit of justice is an inherently Jewish act, because justice has been denied to us so many times throughout the generations and the millennia. We also pursue it because God commands us with the instruction, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. We should not have to give up any part of our essential selves to do so. On this Shabbat, as we continue to struggle with the pressures and expectations and the exclusions from the outside world, I would encourage you to continue to explore not just the how to do Judaism, but also, and even more, to continue to explore and wrestle with the fundamental question of what is it that makes you Jewish, and embrace it and let it elevate you and show it proudly, because that is a core part of who each and every one of us is. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.